Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Now, over the last few weeks I've been getting to know these three mini bikes from the Honda mini bike range, and in this video what I want to do is bring you a comparison of the three and let you know which bike I would choose if I was in the market to buy one of these bikes. So if you're interested in Honda mini bikes, stick around, stay tuned, this video's for you. So as I say, over the past few weeks I've been getting to know these bikes as well as I possibly can, and I have made individual ride reviews on each of these bikes. So at some point, not now, after this video, go back and watch the individual reviews of these bikes. I'll put links at the end, because in those reviews what I do is I go through the individual details about what each of them are like to ride, what the specifications are and so on. But what I want to do in this video is specifically point out the differences that I found between the bikes, so that I can draw some sort of conclusion as to which is my favourite. Alright, without further ado, let's crack on and talk about the DAX. Alright, this bike here then, the DAX. What are the things about this bike that kind of stuck in my mind when I rode it? And this is the first bike that I rode actually out of the three mini bikes, the first time I've ever ridden a small bike, and it was an absolute hoot. All these three bikes are massive smiles bikes. They put an absolute grin on your face. They're really good fun to ride. The DAX in particular, the things that stuck out with me on this one is this has actually got a 4-speed gearbox on it. The others have got 5-speed conventional gearboxes. This is sort of an automatic in that it's got a heel and toe gear change on it, which basically you roll off the revs, you change gear and you bring the revs back on. You don't have to use a clutch obviously, and off you go. Now I struggle with that, being a rider of conventional motorcycles. And even though I've ridden this bike several times, I still never properly cracked it. I'm sure if you own one of these, you would do it. It's just a matter of getting used to it. But that stuck in my mind, the odd 4-speed gearbox. Something that was good about it is the 107 kilogram wet weight of this. Lovely and light bike. Of course, they're all light, but 107 kilograms is, you know, again, if you're used to riding standard motorcycles, very, very light. Although out of the three, that, believe it or not, is the heaviest of the three. Something else worth noting, all these bikes are within a few hundred quid of each other, but this one is 3,749, so it's slightly the cheapest of the bikes. Now, the thing is about the DAX is it's probably the best for two-up riding, so this would be absolutely perfect if, say, you had a camper van or something, because you could strap this to the back of the camper van, or if you've got one of those vans with a garage in or a trailer, stick it in the back of the van, and then when you get to the campsite, you can roll this out and you've got transport to get you away from the campsite and do a bit of sightseeing. So absolutely makes sense in that scenario. So yeah, so that's the DAX. Right, next up, the Monkey then, this little puppy here. And I guess we've got the Monkey to thank for all these mini bikes, because this was the first one that came on scene. In fact, when it first came on scene, it was known as the Z100. It was made in 1961, and it was made specifically as a method to get around amusement parks in Japan. It was such a success that in 1962, they actually made a road bike version of it in Japan, and the mini bike craze was born, if you like. These things have a massive cult following. And yeah, again, it's just a huge grin-inducing bike when you ride the thing. So in terms of the numbers on this one is puts out 11 newton meters of torque, so it's the most torquey of the three here. They're all within a sniffer of each other, but I'm just trying to find things that make a difference. So 11 newton meters of torque on this one. It's got 104 kilograms wet weight, so again a little bit lighter than the DAX, but still a little bit too heavy to lift, but still a very, very light bike of course. And this one comes in at £4,049, so a little bit more than the DAX. In terms of the summary that I made when I was riding the bike, I've made a note here. I said that, well, we've got the Monkey to thank for starting this whole mini bike thing in the first place. I said that it's a comfy ride, it puts a huge grin on your face. I love a bit of retro styling, of course, which this one has, and it's just hilarious to look at and ride. So, yeah, that's the Monkey bike. Let's move on to the Grom. Right, here we go then. This puppy is the Grom, or as we originally knew it here in the UK or in Europe, the MSX125, which stood for Mini Street Extreme. Now these bikes first arrived in the 2013 model year. That was in Japan and the USA. They didn't actually make it to these shores until 2020 when Honda decided that it would be a good idea to market them here as well. And they did great things. And in fact, the Grom, as it became known everywhere for this model year, this is the 2023, is actually become the best-selling 125 across the world. This thing is loved by bike customizers because in particular you can take these panels off using just the 6 screws. You can whip those off and therefore you can customize it. It also has become very popular as a pit bike. In terms of power, this one puts out a whopping 9.6 brake horsepower, which actually makes it the most powerful of three. Again, only by a snifter, but you know, these things make a difference. And in fact, you can feel the difference on this. I definitely felt this one felt like it was a little bit more lively than the other bikes. The seat height on it is just 761 millimeters. They're all quite low and accessible, of course, but this is actually the lowest seat height out of all of them. And the wet weight of this one is 103 kilograms, so this is the lightest out of all of them. So it's the lowest, the lightest, and the fastest as far as I'm concerned. Alright, fair enough, that's each of the bikes there and a little summary of them. Out of the three, which one did I prefer best? And if I had £4 lying around, or thereabouts, lying around in the garage, which one would I buy? I'll show you. Alright, just building up a little bit of tension here, drum roll please. This is the one that I would choose if I had £4 laying around. Which of the three mini bikes could it be? Did you guess right? Here we go, let's unveil. Did you guess that? The Grom. So for me, the Grom was just the best of the batch. To me, it just felt like the most grown up of the bikes, if indeed grown up makes sense in the context of these mini bikes, because let's face it, they're all rather hilarious and put a grin on your face. But for me, it felt the nippiest. I like the looks of it the best. It's got Honda's legendary build quality, as indeed all the bikes have, but for me, it just seemed the most complete bike. So this is the one that I loved the most. Okay, so what was it about the other bikes that maybe swung it against those in my little head-to-head here of the three bikes? Well, even though I love a retro bike, the DAX, the looks of it, just didn't do it for me. Eminently practical, that frame design, hiding some of the cabling aside in the frame, and indeed the fuel. But for me, it just didn't win on looks, and that's very important to me. That, plus that weird heel and toe gear change, I never fully got used to that. I by far prefer the conventional gear change on this and the Monkey. The Monkey bike, great little bike. Again, I love retro bikes, so you might think that would be the one I go for. But in my eyes, it's just a bit too caricatured. I think I'd feel a bit daft on it. Well, let's face it, you probably feel a bit daft on all of them, but that's part of the charm. But yeah, the Monkey bike, I think if you know, Mario from Mario Kart was going to ride a motorcycle, that would probably be the one, or Coco the Clown, but probably not for me. For me, the Grom wins because it just it looks a bit more sensible in a silly sort of way. All right, so there we go. That's the end of my time with the mini bikes. I hope you enjoyed this little series looking at them. Huge thanks to Honda UK for lending me all three bikes at the same time so I could bring you this comparison. Hope you enjoyed that. And if it's the first time you've been to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, share, all that sort of thing. It'd be great to have you along next time. All right, that's it for now. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mr. Flyer. Cheerio. Now after... just didn't do it let's do that again.